Greetings. This is Positivologist Lynette Turner, and welcome to the Positivologist is in the house. So come on in, grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, sit in your favorite chair, and relax. Thank you so much for joining me. So this is a show that focuses on living our lives from a positive perspective. But that doesn't mean we don't have a hard day or challenge or a bad hair day, so to speak. We all have those. But we also have the opportunity each and every day when we get up to decide what kind of way we're going to live our day. How are we going to use our energy? And so I'm delighted to have amazing guests on the show to talk to us about their skills, what they know about living in the light and living positive, what they're going to teach us about their experiences and how they've helped others. And so I'm very excited to have Terry Wildeman with me today here on the show. Hi, Terry.
Hey, how are you? So happy
Great
to
to
be
see
here.
you. Yes, and I have to say your energy just jumps out through the screen, and it's very energizing. So I'm very excited about the energizing conversation that we're going to have this evening. And so what I'm going to do now out there in TV land is I'm going to turn it over to Terry and have her tell us a little about herself. And I'm like, don't hold back. She's amazing. She wears many hats. She's got some great titles that I can't wait to talk about. One of them is Attractionpreneur. Who would be attracted to somebody with a title like Attractionpreneur? So before we talk about how to attract what we can in our life, we're going to talk a lot about the law of attraction. Terry, I'm going to turn it over to you and say once again welcome and tell our viewers all about you and how they can also reach you or connect with you if they'd like to connect with you after the show.
Okay, thank you so very much. Well, first and foremost, I'm a spouse of an amazing man who is retired military. We live up here in Newport, Rhode Island, and I have 3 kids. The oldest one is in the Navy. She's Navy lieutenant. The middle one is going to grad school, and I have a 19-year-old at home. So, I love my kids. I love my family, and they're what I put first. No matter what I do, they have to be first. On the flip side, what I do for work is I help entrepreneurs become attractionpreneurs. I love entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur myself since I was 18 years old, in between other career paths, by the way. I always had business on the side. It was just something that was built into me. And along the way, things kept happening, which I now identify as law of attraction, not really understanding what it was all about until actually fairly recently in the last decade. And law of attraction is very important to me, and leadership is hugely important to me. So being able to merge practical business skills with leadership, entrepreneurship, and law of attraction just makes my heart sing.
Wow. So clearly you're someone who's passionate about helping other people. I always find that very, very appealing about people. Did something happen in your life to make you be that way? Just like some people are sort of, they say, are sort of born happy, although you can sort of learn how to be happy. What attracted you to being a person that wanted to reach out and help other people be happy, be successful, and attract what they wanted into their lives?
Well, I think that I was sort of born that way.
Yeah.
I love helping other people. It's something that's always been inside of me. When someone is in trouble or someone needs help, I was always there. It was something that I've always done. And it's my behavior style. There's 4 different behavior styles, and my influential behavior style is very people focused. And I'm the influential behavior style and the DISC language of communication. DISC is D-I-S-C. The influentials, which is the I in that link in the DISC, we're the consummate optimists. Right?
Yes.
So I've always had this thing about looking at the positive side of everything that could go wrong. So no matter what went wrong, there was still a positive side to it.
Yeah. We're on the same page there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So tell us your website too, just so at the beginning. We'll do it again at the end, but so people can.
Okay. www.awakenthepossibilities.com. Awakenthepossibilities.com.
There's action just in that name. It just reminds us to wake up, because it seems so often people are walking around sort of semi-conscious. So just getting through their day and moving through their day and not being present,
Mm-hmm.
not being
And,
awake.
being present is something that takes practice. Unless we're really taught how to be present as a child,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those skills that we end up learning on our own. I know I, for one, had to learn it on my own.
Right.
It wasn't something that my parents really understood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're now in a era where more and more folks, hello, you're back.
Folks, just so you know, folks, there's a lot of energy flying around tonight, and we're just moving with the flow of it.
There is a lot of energy flowing around here. Okay. So, I had to teach myself this stuff. But having said that, okay, I'm going to rephrase what I just said. Every time I needed something, whatever it was landed in my lap. Whether it was learning something new or needed something physically or needed the right person to show up, it always came to me. And I wasn't getting it when I was younger.
Right, right. So some kind of shift happened between here and there for it to happen, for you to be open to it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited we're going to talk about the law of attraction, because you hear that phrase a lot.
Yes.
What is it? How do you describe the law of attraction?
Bottom line, it's energy. It is energy. Like attracts like. It's as simple as that. Like attracts like. So when we're negative, we tend to land more negative stuff around us. When we're positive, we tend to attract more positive stuff to us. It's law. It's universal law. It's just the way it works. And it's even in the Bible, asking it is given. So this is a concept that has gone back thousands of years. So it's nothing new. It's just that it presents itself a little bit differently in each generation. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, in this generation, what broke the ice with it were a couple things. In the early part of the 1900s, in the 30s, 20s and 30s, you've got Napoleon Hill and you've got Andrew Carnegie, you've got all those, those amazing folks who came together, and Napoleon Hill studied them. Now, flash forward, the movie The Secret somewhat broke that ice. For another generation. And there's going to be other people in future generations who are going to be writing about law of attraction from their perspective.
Right.
So every generation there's a person who's writing about it.
You talk about like attracts like, it really reminds me of people that are negative, and when they say, nothing good ever happens to me, everything negative happens to me. Well, I mean, I'm just like, the power of our words. If that's what you put out, of course nothing good comes to you. If all you perpetuate and put out into the universe is going to bring back to you what you asked for, basically. And if all you say is everything's bad, everything's negative, and that's what's going to...
Well, I have a perfect example of that. Just tonight, right before the show, I was at my exercise class. And 3 weeks ago, I was in California, and I was attending an exercise class for the same franchise out there. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I walked in the door. I said, I'm sorry, I couldn't sign up online. I was concerned that you would fill up. And her response to me was, oh, well, we never fill up. And I sort of went, oops, wrong mindset. Okay, yeah. So if you're going to have that, and in fact, if that's the energy she's putting out there to a perfect stranger, that's right. The energy that she's attracting. Whereas here, the exact same franchise, beautiful place, the energy is completely different because it's such a positive mindset. Mm-hmm. The mindset is so different.
But how do you turn that around in people? I know you work with people. If someone, I always think for myself or others, we're a product of our environment.
We are.
So if you grew up and you're never around anything negative, that perpetuates how you are as an adult. As you said, we can change. But how do you, because I know you're very successful working with people and helping them make that shift, what is it that you do or say to someone to help them get on this path that's going, help them to be happier, more positive?
Well, there's a couple things that I do. If it's someone I casually, I'm speaking with, I ask permission if I can reframe what it is that they're saying, if they're comfortable with that. I always listen to the energy. And like in my own group, for example, I have an attractionpreneur group on Facebook. And one of the things I've given myself permission to is to reframe what people say. And one person said, well, they're not really good with Facebook. They got to learn all this stuff. And I said, how about we do a reframe? How about we reframe it to, I'm in the process of learning Facebook. Instead of saying I'm not good at Facebook, I'm in the process of learning Facebook and I'm getting better at it every day. That's the kind of reframe I'm talking about. However, what I also do that is a little bit different from other law of attraction trainers is I talk about, I'm certified with the Heart Math Institute in stress management. Stress management is very important to me. I burned out multiple times. And depending on the individual, if they're the type of person who is very task-focused and very practical and tactical, I go to the scientific perspective of when you are in the negative mindset, in anger, frustration, anxiety, unforgiveness, just real negativity, what you end up doing is you're raising the cortisol levels in your body. And cortisol is the negative hormone that makes you fat, raises your blood pressure, affects all of your organs, makes you foggy, turns you into a blob. Okay? So when you're in that negative place, that's what's happening to your body physiologically.
Right.
When you shift with certain techniques that we teach, you shift then to love, gratitude, appreciation, those kinds of emotions. And there's a whole list of emotions that we work with. The DHEA goes up and the cortisol comes down. So you actually get healthier and healthier and healthier. And when you're in a healthier state, your mindset changes.
Right. And I think if people, the way you explained it is wonderful. I think if people understood that, they'd be more open to trying it. So if you have someone who, for whatever matter or number of reasons, just is like, yeah, but I haven't found that job that I want, or I haven't found that relationship. Why, why should I believe this is going to happen? But the way you just described it, if people realize, wow, it's going to make me healthier, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
You're healthier, you're going to be happier. You're going to be able to be more focused. You're going to be able to be open to the possibilities that you weren't open to before. So I think that's an important thing to say. And, you just reminded me of something very important when the person was saying they're not good about Facebook. I tend, let me see how I can phrase this. Here's how I often phrase it. I tend to not have a very good sense of direction. Okay, I'll just put it out there. I've gotten much better. But anyone who knows me knows that, I moved here, I'm in Connecticut, but I moved here from Alaska. I'm from Anchorage, but I lived in Juneau, which is an island with no roads, okay? You have to fly, go by boat, so I couldn't get lost driving on an island. You drive, 46 miles, and the big sign literally says the end, and there's whales. So I moved to the East Coast, and, get on I-95, what? I used to want to get on I-95 and wait till there's room to get in. He was like, no, you keep driving. The people are going to let you in. And I just tend to not go in the right direction. Now I have a GPS, and I don't let it stop me. But I know sometimes that's like the one thing in my life that I know that I pretty consistently don't phrase it correctly. Instead of, I'm much better at getting around than I was, or I will get where I'm going, versus, oh my gosh, I'm going to get lost. Well, of course I'm going to get lost if that's what I say.
That's exactly right. You say you're going to get lost, you will get lost.
Yeah.
And there is a formula. And may I share a mathematical formula with you on creating your results? Okay.
Sure.
I love this formula. It's a very powerful formula. It's the classic A plus B plus C plus D equals E. Your perception of the events, whether positive or negative, okay? Create words. Words are, let's pretend there's 5 boxes in front of you, okay? So box number 1 is perception. There's an event that happens. Something happens. Your perception, whatever it is, positive or negative, is in box number 1. I'm going to pull out those perceptions. I'm going to throw them into box number 2. Box number 2 on the side then has words on it, okay? So I'm going to pull out those words. They're either going to be positive or negative, and I'm going to throw them into box number 3. Box number 3, positive or negative, I pull out thoughts. So the word thoughts is on the side of the box.
Mm-hmm.
So those thoughts, positive or negative, I throw into box number 4. Box number 4 has on the side vibration.
Yeah.
Okay? So your vibes are the way you feel, positive or negative. Vibes equal feelings. Okay? So those vibes equal your results. So the formula is your results are created by your vibes, that are created by your thoughts, that are created by your words, that are created by your perceptions of the events that are happening around you.
Right. Right. That's powerful. Often when I get up in the morning and I'm meditating, I pre-think my day. I see that it's going to be a pleasant day. It's going to be productive. My stress is going to be very low. And even if and I'm going to get on I-95, I'm going to get to work just fine. And even because I have that mindset, that vibration, if I get on I-95 and there's congestion and I'm stopped, I literally say, oh my gosh, it's a gift. For some reason, I'm supposed to be sitting here and going 10 miles an hour instead of 50. And my gosh, I never even noticed that there were trees over here to the left.
Mm-hmm.
To just use that, exactly what you're saying. How do I perceive it's going to be? And it makes an amazing difference in the day.
Well, it does make a difference because other folks that are in the cars around you, they're getting angrier and angrier and angrier.
Oh, yeah.
And their cortisol is going up and going up and going up. And here's what happens. Every 5 minutes that you're in an intense state of anger, it takes the body 8 hours to recover.
Ooh, say that again, please.
For every 5 minutes that you're in that intense state of anger where your cortisol levels are really high, especially if there's road rage and you're going ballistic, it takes the body 8 hours to recover. Approximately.
That's enough right there to make people say, wait a minute. Let me look at how I'm using my energy, how I'm spending my day, how I'm verbalizing. Yeah. And to do that, no matter what is, I think a challenge might be for some people that they might be surrounded by people who are anything but that. But that doesn't mean you have to be that. That's what right. I tell people all day. You get to choose how you're going to react.
And that word you just said is so huge. Choose. Choice. The power of choice. People say to me, oh, he made me feel like this, or she made me feel like that. No. You choose to go there. Now, I will be the first one to admit, I may be in a conversation and somebody will say something and, ooh, it doesn't feel good.
Right.
Ultimately, it's my choice to go to that place.
Right. Yeah. So no one can make you feel any ways. How you take in, right? Yeah. What those people are doing.
Exactly.
Well, tell me this. How quickly can this law of attraction work? Because, we are people that time is of the essence. We're not always really patient. We want what we want now. We want it yesterday. How quickly can it happen for us?
It really depends on your level of doubt. But here's a really good way to look at it. Let's pretend that doubt is okay, what's the best way to describe this? Okay, there's 2 cars, okay? One car is on a smooth road, the other car is on gravel, okay? So the blue car is on the smooth road, the red car is on the gravel. When you're in doubt, it is equal to the red car on the gravel. It's a bumpy, unsmooth road, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And the more doubt you have, the bigger the gravel. They could even be boulders, so the car can't go anywhere based on your level of doubt. Right. The less doubt you have, the smoother the road. And if you have no doubt, it's just a really, really smooth ride. And what you want moves very quickly and comes to you very quickly. So the key is to let go of the doubt, release the doubt, and using energy tools such as EFT, which is also known as tapping, or the emotion code, or I use visualization and cord cutting, those types of techniques. Yeah. I use all those things to help release doubt and help release the energy that's stuck there. that doesn't allow you to get to where you really want to be.
Right, right. We were talking about going with the flow, kind of jokingly, but I mean, I think it's so important to me, so that whatever happens, even if a challenging thing or a hard thing happens, I'm like, for me, I can't speak for everyone,
Right.
but first of all, I think like we were talking about, I attract what I attract to myself. So if something great and wonderful and magnificent comes, I attract to that. If something comes that's a little bit harder, more challenging, I found over my years that it doesn't benefit me to say, why did that happen to me? This isn't fair. It's like it happened. Energy's energy. I do it. What can I learn from it? Why did
Yeah.
I drop it? What can I learn from it? And hopefully, if it's something that I don't want to experience again, I'll learn from that and I'll move on to something else. But I tell sometimes to people, well, I like to be upbeat and happy and positive. Okay, maybe it's a little bit selfish because, first of all, it feels better. Not that I don't have bad days and sort of, you know, you know, you can fall into that dark hole, but it's the choice of whether you stay there. I mean, I might go there and acknowledge it, but then I'm like, I'm back up because it feels much better, much more alive, much more vibrant. If I am just making a decision to be happy
Well,
person.
I love to address your word selfish. There's good selfish and negative selfish. And that is all based on values. Okay? Positive selfishness is when we're taking care of ourselves so that we can be in service to others. So that's about having boundaries that are tight, honoring the way we feel so that we can then be there to do the things that others request of us. Negative selfishness is when we turn into what I call diva mode. Okay, when we care so much about ourselves.
Me, 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 right?
Yeah.
The me syndrome.
Me, 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 that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The diva-ish, that diva perspective, I've even seen other coaches get to a point where they won't tolerate anybody else talking too much, or they don't tolerate this in other people, and they're coaches, and it's like, oh, really? Okay, so it's about getting really clear on what it is we're willing to tolerate and what we're not willing to tolerate. But when we take it to extremes, anything in extreme will work against us instead of for us.
Is it also about letting go of judgment? We're judging
Yeah, it really is.
because they're not acting the way we think they should act, or how we.
Well, it is. I have some coaches who say, well, you should be doing this, and this, and you should be communicating like this, and this, and then they turn around, and they're some of the poorest communicators I've ever met. And am I being in judgment? I am. However, if you're a coach, there's a responsibility to be able to model what it is that you're teaching.
Right.
Because if you don't do that, then you're out of sync, you're out of integrity with who you are as an individual.
I remember I've seen and met some people like that. I didn't think they get to that point. I wonder if they weren't that way, but somehow they shifted. How do they stay grounded? How do we all stay grounded?
Well, I think it comes and goes. I think we are human. We are human. It doesn't matter whether a coach or whoever you are.
Yeah.
We're human, and there are times when there are other things going on behind us back here that we don't know how that is affecting an individual in that moment. So, yes, I may be judging in the moment, but at the same time, I'm thinking, what's up with that? What's going on? What's taking this person to that specific place? And then I just forget it, forgive, whatever, let it go, and just keep going. Because we are human, anybody who says that they don't judge, I'm going to challenge that every single moment, every single time.
Yeah.
Because it is part of the human condition. It is part of the human condition. And even if it is, okay, this shirt or this shirt, it's still a judgment.
Yeah. Am I going to go down this road or that road? Am I going to, yeah.
Exactly.
So, Terry, do you have a couple of examples that you might share with people you've worked with, maybe not by name, but who have had some major breakthrough, and I can only imagine what their life was before. And then once they decide to walk down this other path, there's probably no going back. You know.
Well, there is one of my students, and this one person sticks out for me more than anyone. She showed up at one of my goal-setting programs, and it was the first time I met her. She was using a cane. She was bent over, and by the end of the session, by the end of the day, it was a full day program, she was standing upright. And she signed up for one of my programs. Now, mind you, that was the only time I saw her. I didn't physically see her again for about 5 months. And I ran into her at a networking event. I did not recognize her. There was no cane, standing upright. She was completely transformed physically in every way. Before, she looked like she was about 20 years younger. And I looked at her and I'm like, is that really you? And it was all because she signed up for this program, working with me weekly. And we were able to release a lot of the stuff that was going on, the emotional baggage.
Yeah.
And it was just for me, it was one of the most amazing transformations I've ever seen.
Well, so I guess it has to start here, right? I mean, what we think, and then it just transforms, I think, into what we feel, and then we become it.
Well, we had to work through a lot of stuff, and we did a lot of EFT. We did a lot of intense law of attraction training, and because one of the things to remember, we can talk about law of attraction till the cows come home.
Right.
I can teach you all the law of attraction steps, and there's 3 steps to law of attraction with steps in between. Step number 1 is identify your desire. Step number 2 is to give your desire attention. Step number 3 is to allow. And there's all these exercises in between to help you get clear on all those steps. And we don't have really time to go into that today, but those are the 3 basic steps. Identify your desire, give your desire attention, and allow. The key with all of this is, bottom line, it's your vibes. It's how you choose to feel. So you can stand in front of a mirror all day long, and this is the problem with affirmations. Affirmations often don't work, and people get frustrated with them. And this is the key. When you're looking in front of a mirror and you're saying, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, your subconscious is in there going, are you kidding me? You're not wealthy. And you keep saying, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy. But then you take a moment, take a deep breath, and you look in the mirror and you say instead, I feel wealthy. I feel wealthy. What does it feel like to feel wealth? And you keep imagining yourself feeling wealthy.
Right,
and
right.
Feeling wealthy. And imagine yourself holding on to that $1,000 bill in your hand. What would it feel like to be there? And it's that feeling that makes the difference versus just saying the words.
And people have to let themselves go there, right? Because I've heard people say, but I'm not wealthy, so how can I pretend or feel like I'm wealthy?
Well, it depends on how you identify wealth, okay? If you have great health, you are very, very wealthy. I lost my health, and let me tell you, it was horrific. You know, so if you have a roof over your head, you're wealthier than what percentage of the people in the world? Okay, if you have electricity, if you have a car, if you have a job, if you have clothes on your back, if you have food in the refrigerator, that's all wealth.
Right.
All of that is wealth. So when you step into a place of love and appreciation, those raise your DHEA levels. And the more you appreciate and love and shift into this positivity and gratitude, the wealthier you begin to feel. Right. And the more of that you attract.
And
it's law.
Yeah. You just said one of my favorite words is gratitude. I mean, I just think the more grateful we are, the more good we energized to ourselves, like the vibes come to ourselves. And I wake up in the morning, I have a gratitude journal. The very first thing I do is write something I'm grateful for. And when people say to me, "Oh, but I don't have anything to be grateful for," I say the same thing. Did you wake up this morning?
Yeah, exactly. Did you wake up this morning?
Yeah, if you woke up this morning, you have something to be grateful for. Or people, in this material world we live in, if someone's like, "Oh, I really wish I had that new Lexus, that new car." I'm like, well, if you think back, there's somebody out there, they don't have a new car. They might have a used car that barely starts, and they're lucky every day if it starts so they can even drive to work. Or if you go back even further, there's someone who doesn't have a car at all, and they have to take public transportation. That's the only way they can get around. Or you go back further, and there's somebody who doesn't have the money for public transportation. They have to walk everywhere they go. And they're like, oh, wow, the perspective I hadn't really thought about. The car I have is like, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. So there really is. There is just so much to be grateful for. But that shift of vibration and energy, I think that's the thing that we have to just keep practicing. And it's just like, if it doesn't happen overnight, keep at it, right?
Yeah. And it really comes to us just the right time. Sometimes it comes at the most unexpected times. It's about staying open.
Right. And again, despite I keep going back to despite what's going on around you, because people are often, maybe you're in a work environment where your, coworkers aren't the greatest, or, you're having a hard time with your teenage kid. Well, you can't really give your children away, right? Maybe you can walk away from your job. You can't give your children.
Oh yeah.
But you also can, I think, show by example. I always joke and say I just wore my family and friends down, because I'm so positive all the time and just gave up and said, okay, there is good out there. I'm gonna walk down that road as well.
Right. Right.
So Terry, I want you to talk a little bit more about, because clearly you're very skilled about working with people. So if someone contacted you, take a few minutes and just talk about the different ways that you would work with them, and how you would be able to reach out and help them to reach that goal. I think one of the things is for them to have clarity about what that is. What is it that you want to achieve, right?
Well, as a coach, it really depends on the individual. All right, I don't have a cookie cutter approach to when I interact with people. We do. I talk with them for about 15 minutes first to find out exactly what their challenges are. And I'm going to be frank. I don't always work with everybody. I know. I only work with folks who are my match. I only work with people who are 100% committed to wanting to change.
I bet you know that from what they say, but also from the energy that you feel.
Absolutely. I can tell within the first 15 minutes whether I want to work with somebody. Now, if somebody calls me up or they go to my website and they schedule a chat with Terry session, and then we talk for about 15 minutes, and I find out about their business, I find out where they are, I find out what their passion is, find out what they've done. So there's certain questions that I ask. If they are super, super negative and they're in love with being negative, that's not my ideal client. Okay, it just isn't, because I'm not going to put myself in a situation where the client is going to suck my life out of me.
Right.
All right. However, if they're willing, and I can tell, if they're willing to shift and listen to what I have to say, and they're willing to give 100% to it and commit to it, oh baby, bring it on. Okay, we will talk. And here's the thing, and I have to say this because I feel intuitively I have to say this. If you're the kind of person, law of attraction, if you're in business for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, a business person, and all you go around doing is looking for free, guess what kind of client you're going to attract? The clients who want free.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So when you interact with folks, when you connect with folks, do it with the understanding that this is a business person. This is a person I want to engage with. This is a person who I honor who they are and what they do and how long they've been at this, and I know that they're going to do very well for me. And respect that piece and get it, that there's going to be something behind it. There's got to be an exchange. And I have a lot of entrepreneurs who have challenges attracting clients. And the reason their challenges are there for attracting clients is because they themselves are always looking for free. They don't value themselves enough in order to be able to get out there and attract the client that they need to attract.
Right. Or sometimes I think if people are in the business of helping people, we often think, oh my gosh, well, this person, they really need help, they really need support. Oh, they don't have any, they don't have any money. I'm just gonna help them anyway. But you're right. We need to have that exchange. You said a word that's it's also very important to me. You mentioned intuition. And I see that a lot in your work and on your website and everything. Talk to us about the power of being intuitive. Like some people say, oh, I'm not intuitive. I think we all have that in us. How can we tap into that, and what kind of role can that play in us living our best life, our fullest life, our happiest life?
Well, I'm all about intuition. As much as I'm all about law of attraction, I'm also all about intuition. And to me, both of them are very intertwined, and it's important that you connect both of them together, because the third step in law of attraction, which is allowing, it is about taking inspired action. And inspired action incorporates the gift of intuition. Okay? So I talk about the 4 clairs when it comes to intuition. We're actually born intuitive. We know so much. However, growing up, it gets kicked out of us for whatever reason. Okay? And a lot of it gets kicked out of because it's our parents are fearful people and they don't believe us. Okay, so I'll just review the 4 clairs, if I may. The first one is clairvoyant. This is where you see pictures, you see images, you see things in your mind's eye, and that tends to be holed up here. So a lot of artists see things first, and then whatever it is that they see, they can then take what it is that they see, and whether it's a sculpture or watercolor or oil paint or whatever it is that they do, jewelry, they can create magic with that. Then you have the people who are clairaudient. And the clairaudient folks, they listen. It's all about hearing voices or hearing things. And that's actually what I started with. I would hear words. And my very first book, which was published in 1998, was downloaded to me, and I could hear the words coming in through my left ear. That's clairaudient. Okay. Then we have claircognizant, which is just knowing. It's a knowing that people will say to you, well, how do you know this stuff? I don't know. I just do. I just know.
Yeah.
And then there's clairsentient. It's a feeling. It's that gut thing. It's this inside of your body. You just know. It's that gut piece, all right? And people who are really tuned into it, like all 4 of mine are pretty high right now, but it took years to get to that level. I mean, I see the words, I hear them, I sense it, I feel it. It's like, woo! And there are times intuitively, and that's why I say I know exactly who is my client and who isn't my client. Because I see the pictures, I hear the words, I sense it. And there are times when it all comes together so intensely,
right,
that it's just right there.
Yeah.
And when we don't listen to our intuition, we live to regret it. How many times have you not listened to it and thought, oh, why didn't I do this?
I mean, a lot of times exactly that. People will, let's say you have to make a decision about something and it just comes to you. You know exactly what you're going to do. And then you're like, oh, that can't be right. So you rationalize yourself out of that, do the other thing, and then 9 times out of 10 you're like, I should have followed my intuition. I should have followed my gut. So, I think if we pay attention to that, right, the signs, and then we can get better and better and better with it, right? It's like you're working on the muscle. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Well, there's 2 parts to that. It's trust and belief. It's actually trust and belief in yourself.
Right. Right. And that leads to, it's funny, every time you say something, I'm just about to say something, worthiness plays a role, because if people don't think they're worthy, might be being subconscious of having whatever it is that they want to have. It
Right.
seems like that can be like an internal fight, or, I mean, it's just how does one, how do you approach or help someone appreciate that we're all worthy. I don't care who you are, how much money you have, or where you live. But how do you get people to have that appreciation and have that open heart to appreciate that they're worthy, so that they can have this law of attraction work for them?
Right. Well, one of the things that I do is in the very beginning when I start to work with someone, the first 3 to 4 sessions, we're actually working with their inner game. To work with the outer game first does not work, period. I can teach you all the systems until the cows come home. I can do all this stuff with your business. But if the inner game isn't where it needs to be, your inner mindset, it doesn't work.
Right.
A lot of our mindset is created from our past. It's either created in childhood, it's created in our teenage years, it's created from our experiences. So the first, in approximately 2, 3, 4 sessions, it really depends on the individual, I'm spending a lot of time with them clearing out the emotional baggage, because I tell you, there could be a behavior today, whatever the behavior is, when I ask the question of when is your earliest memory of this being, I go all the way back to the age of 2. And that is the first time. And using the tapping, using NLP, using all those other, what I call my shiftology tools. Using those tools, we clear out that baggage. We clear out those emotions. And that's how we shift. We got to clear that energy out so that people can be real clean in their behavior currently and be fully present in the moment in what I call the I am.
So if they can go back to some memory from a long time ago that wasn't pleasant, what do you have them acknowledge it and then somehow help them release it so it's no longer,
Yeah, we use the tapping. That's where we use the tapping, and we use the NLP. We use all of those again, I call them shiftology tools.
Terry, talk a little bit about the tapping, because it's just fabulous. Can you talk a moment about that so
Sure.
the viewers can?
Emotional freedom technique, which is also known as tapping, and there are various forms of tapping that have since evolved since the beginning of it. It was created by Gary Craig. Gary Craig studied with Joseph, I want to say Cunningham. All of a sudden the last name escaped me. But Gary Craig is the official creator of the emotional freedom technique, which we call EFT. And a lot of us, again, use the term tapping. And what we are using is the energy points in the body, and under the nose, under the lip, under the collarbone. And there are various points throughout the body. And it may be really, you may think to yourself, how is tapping on these parts of the body going to release it? It works. What I will tell you is when we are, and it's a process, we do several rounds. Round number 1, we focus on the negative to bring attention to it and to release it. Round number 2 is the negative and the positive. Round number 3 is the negative. And I have my own concoction, my own alchemy of using the tapping with the emotion code, with the NLP, and I do a little bit of all of it. And I'm also a Reiki master. So, I bring all of that in, and I intuitively know where to take the client and what words to use to help the client clear out the emotional piece. And what happens is the image, the emotions are dramatically reduced. The images may even soften. So the image will still be, the event will still be there. They remember the event, but the emotion that's attached to the event can be lessened dramatically. And in some cases, we can actually release it completely.
Right, so it doesn't come back. Or if it does, we have this tool that we can use to simply help it move away.
Well, I'm glad you said if it comes back. Here's the thing. It's like a tree with tons of roots. There is an event, and it's going to have lots of roots. We clear out some of the roots. I mean, there's some stuff I'm even working with that I've been working with, I've been clearing out for the last 10 years. And every once in a while, it'll rear its ugly head. I'm like, again? What roots did I miss?
But that's the attitude to have, probably. Again, let me keep working on it versus, okay, I tried it and it didn't work. I'm just, it's not going to work. Again, I'm not worthy of it.
Right. Well,
It's
we
not,
call it aspects. It's like you're peeling an onion, okay?
yeah.
It's an onion. You're peeling the layers and a layer, and we're going to be peeling those layers until the day we croak. Bottom
No,
line,
no, I want to be done peeling the layers.
you know, that's just the way it is. We're going
Yeah,
to be peeling back those layers for a long time because we're on this planet to learn.
right, right. And but y'all have that monkey mind, like they talk about in Buddhism. So the chatter. So I just want the chatter to be like the good chatter and the positive chatter. But so often with people, it's the negative chatter and the bad chatter. And it's like, just like the weeds, put that chatter away and tell the happy, positive monkeys to come in and talk. Uh, yeah, talk good, talk positive. I would think also another word that pops into my mind is the word of forgiveness too, like forgiving ourselves for, you often hear people say, "Oh, by the time I was 30, this was supposed to happen, and by the time I was 40, this was supposed to happen. By the time I was 50," and so you just sort of see people in this energy drain of, because of the expectations they had set for themselves, or others had set for them. That quite often
Yeah.
happens, right?
There's a case for planning your life so tightly that you don't allow, you're really not living. You don't allow the beauty of life. You don't allow spontaneity to come in. When you are that wound tight that every single thing has to be planned out, it's really, and I hope I don't offend anybody when I say this, but the bottom line is you're probably one of the most stressed people on the planet, and you tend to be a perfectionist. Okay, those are the attributes, and there's no such thing as perfect. There is excellence. So when we strive for excellence, there's a freedom and a liberty around being able to make a mistake and grow and keep going, because with excellence, there's a freedom. There aren't any walls. With perfection, wall. There's a
Right.
wall.
Right.
And once it's perfect, it's perfect. It's done. It's cooked.
Right. Right. If there's any such things, it seems like once someone hits what they think is perfect, then there's some other goal they're trying to get that's even, And the whole thing, even before we're talking about being present in the moment, and we spend all this energy thinking about the past, which we can't repeat. Like, oh, if I only would have moved to Wisconsin 5 years ago, if I only would have taken that job. But we don't know. I always tell people that, for me, anyway, I can't really take a wrong path. I go down the path that I meant to go down at that time, and I
Right.
learned from it something. I might have learned something else from this path, but I don't want to spend my time thinking about only if. Well, there's gems and jewels that happen because of the road that I'm on, and I can
Exactly.
appreciate those gems and jewels instead of thinking so much about what could have happened or what's going to happen tomorrow. Which isn't to say we have to take action in order to have things happen for us, but to be so focused on this has to happen tomorrow, or this is a bummer it didn't happen yesterday. But we just have this moment, and can we please, there's nowhere else that I'm supposed to be other than right here. I'm supposed to be right here with you, talking to Terry and the viewers that are out there, and that's exactly what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
To be
Well,
here.
let me share this so maybe I can put add a little perception to folks who are listening. When I was 8 years old, I always said that I was going to have two and adopt one. I always said that. I'm going to have two children and I'm going to adopt one.
From 8 years old.
From the age of 8.
Wow.
I always said it. It was just something that was very important to me. Fast forward, and I was told by 4 doctors I could never have children. And I remember thinking, okay, that's your perception, but I listened to my intuition and did not follow their advice. And again, remember I was talking about the clairsentient or claircognizance?
Yeah.
It was this knowing, it was this feeling that I just needed to trust. And I did.
Yeah.
And I just trusted. And I just knew that everything was going to be fine. And I went with the flow. I was in major step 3. And I just said, what's going to happen is going to happen. And my oldest was born 9 months and 2 days after our wedding date.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
probably the big lesson for the viewers out there. It is
Yeah.
that trust and go with the flow of it, no matter what else, no matter what has happened in the past that hasn't been what you had hoped it would be. There's always possibility. There's
Yeah.
always a
There's
balance.
and that's my business name, Awaken the Possibilities,
Oh,
because
yeah.
there is always possibility, but it's about, you know, the one thing with law of attraction is with step three. Step three is the most difficult. It's that allowing piece, because we're control freaks, and those of us who are control freaks who are trying to hold everything so tightly
Right.
and force everything, that's exactly when law of attraction doesn't work.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
And I like that you have the word, you talk about desire and not that desire, because so often I think in our society or our culture, if we desire something, we're being selfish. And if we're supposed to be people of service, right, and doing for other people, it's selfish to have all these different desires, because that's just not what you do if you're being there. And I that is I'm newly, about a year ago, I became an ordained interfaith interspiritual minister. So you're supposed to be about service, but it's like it's okay to have these desires of what you want to do
Sure.
in order to help other people, in order to be
Yes.
happier. And like you, I think being of service is the biggest joy that I have, is when I'm able to be there and to help other people find their path. And you clearly found a way to do that, and have people that you connect with, and I'm sure they're happy and lucky to work with you. And you have so many skill sets that you're able to use in order to do this work. And then I just wanted, we have a few minutes left, but I know you're also a medium. Um,
Oh.
yeah. So, you know, quickly tell people what that is, and tell me if that is any way intertwined with the work that you do.
Well, it's funny you brought that up. Usually I don't.
I bring up all the cool stuff on this show.
Well, you know, one of the things that sometimes happens is I'll be talking with someone, and all of a sudden I will hear a very clear voice, and I'll actually hear say the words blah 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 blah, and I'll say the words, and the person I'm interacting with is like, oh, that's my brother-in-law. Oh, that's my mother who passed. Oh, this is this. And that's my cue that someone is in the room is trying to get a message to the other person. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm not one of those folks who can turn it on like that. It happens when it's supposed to. And when it does happen, it's pretty powerful stuff. I've actually have walked away from a few of those going, oh my gosh, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
But now I'm in a state of I just allow it. When
Yeah.
it's meant to happen, it'll happen. Um, I, I don't fight it anymore. Haven't fought it anymore. However, I don't talk about it actively. You're not going to find that on my website. It's not something that it's just part of who I am and part of the coaching process when it's meant to come in.
Right. But I think it's just a wonderful. I just envision you as this open vessel. And you've got things coming from the left and from the right and from the top, and that you just are open to it all. So as it comes in, you're able to, first of all, acknowledge it and accept it and embrace it, and then use all of that to help the people that you are fortunate enough to be able to sit down and work with you. Tell us again about your Facebook page, so people can go there and connect with you, right? If they
Sure. Yeah, well, Terry Wilderman is my Facebook page. I have several actually Facebook pages. I have the Attractionpreneur Hangout. We do a show on Tuesdays at 1 p.m.
Great name. I just have to throw a shout out that that's a really awesome name.
The Attractionpreneur Hangout. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Attractionpreneur. It's like who wouldn't see or hear that and go, yeah, that's what I want to connect with that.
Well, if they go to hangoutwithterry.com, hangoutwithterry.com, I think it's at the bottom of my screen there. Do I have it? I have to put my glasses on. I can't see. There we are. Yes, Attractionpreneur Hangout. If they go to Terry, hangoutwithterry.com, if they're a business person and they want to be on the show, they can do that. They can listen to the interviews. They can also,
Because you have like 3 shows, correct?
Well, I have 2 shows. The first show is it's the Hangout with Terry. It's the Attractionpreneur Business Show, which is Tuesdays at 1 p.m. And then I do series. Right now we have the author series. I'm a published author. I have 6 books of my own, and the next one's going to be coming out at the end of this year. And one of the things I love about authors is, these are non-fiction business authors. Okay, non-fiction business authors. Now, I do have authors coming on who are business people who have, say they've lost a spouse or this kind of thing. They've written books, and it helps entrepreneurs come back to center in helping them deal with their grief. So it is still a business book.
Right.
So we take it from that perspective. So right now we have the Attractionpreneur Business Show at 1 o'clock and the author series at 3 p.m. And that's going to go through until the end of September. I'm sorry, the end of August. I was going to do it through December, but I realized to do 2 shows in one day was a little tiring. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And then we have the Attractionpreneur communities. You can find us on Google+. I have a South Florida meetup. So if you go to meetup.com, you look for South Florida Attractionpreneur and for New England Attractionpreneur. So I have 2 meetups there. And then we have the Attractionpreneur group on Facebook. And they're all business focused.
Terry, I'm not going to ask when you sleep, but I'm sure somehow you find a few hours to get some rest in there.
Hey,
wow. I tell you, the hour has flown by. I want to thank you so much for gracing our presence and talking to the viewers out there of all the expertise you have and helping them learn how to connect with that law of attraction. It's been a delight. So, again, many, many, many thanks.
Thank
you.
And
I want to thank all of the viewers out there for joining me. And remember, life is about bliss. BLISS. Believe life is something special because it is, and so are you. You can connect with me at www.positivebliss.com. I'd love to see you there. Sign up for my free weekly positivity message. We can all use a little positivity. And remember to take the time to walk through the landscape of positivity. I'm sure you're going to appreciate and love what you see there. So until next time, I'll see you right here again on the Positivologist on the House. Many blessings and namaste.
Namaste. Here.